Ahoy from BA. This is a Rorschach Ocean update from the 21st of January 2025, a summary of what's going down in the 70% surface of the Earth covered in salt water. CNN reported on Friday the 17th that Professor Andrew Sweetman from the Scottish Association for Marine Science is working on new research to better understand dark oxygen, which is oxygen created in spaces without sunlight, like the depths of the Pacific Ocean. His team is exploring how it's created and its role in deep-sea ecosystems and possibly other planets. Meanwhile, in Canada, Emile Roof, a microbiologist, found microbes making dark oxygen in ancient groundwater, and he's studying similar processes in South African mines. NASA is interested in dark oxygen because it could explain how life might survive on icy moons like Europa. Deep-sea mining companies challenge these findings, but scientists warn against mining until more is known about how these ecosystems work and their importance in storing carbon. Talking about deep-sea mining, shares of the Metals Company, or TMC, have risen by 22% following increased anticipation of support for deep-sea mining under the upcoming Trump administration. Last month, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a defense bill urging a study on processing deep-sea minerals domestically. Key political figures, including Elise Stefanik, a U.S. representative, and Marco Rubio, a U.S. senior senator, have expressed support for ocean mining, aligning with Trump's stance on securing critical minerals. TMC plans to submit its first seabed mining application in June. While proponents argue that deep-sea mining could provide vital resources like cobalt and nickel, environmental groups warn about its potential ecological impacts. The International Seabed Authority will soon meet to discuss regulations. Still in the US, recent wildfires in Los Angeles have left devastating consequences for both land and marine environments. As rainstorms approach, discharges from burned areas will send harmful ash and chemicals into the ocean, impacting marine life in Santa Monica Bay. These toxins, like benzene and cadmium, pose a serious health risk not only for humans but also for dolphins and other marine creatures. Residents face dangerous cleanup tasks as debris contains dangerous substances. Climate change exacerbates the fire's impact, with the potential for long-term ecological damage. Local businesses like surf shops are already feeling the effects, and communities are already dealing with both immediate health risks and the larger environmental crisis ahead. From the Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean, on Thursday the 16th, Morocco's embassy informed Pakistan that a boat that started its journey from Mauritania and headed to the Canary Islands in Spain capsized off West Africa's Atlantic coast on Thursday the 2nd. The boat was carrying 80 passengers. Authorities reported 50 fatalities, including 44 Pakistani, most of them from the city of Punjab. Survivors report that the boat was overcrowded, with additional passengers boarding forcibly. Pakistan's government expressed sorrow and stressed the urgency of curbing human smuggling. Officials confirmed that several survivors are now in a camp near Dakhla in Morocco. In more news from the Atlantic, Portugal is planning to establish a significant offshore wind cluster along its coast, targeting a total capacity of 10 gigawatts. For reference, 10 gigawatts can power 7.5 million homes. The government recently designated 4 oceanic zones for offshore wind farms and aims to hold its first license auction this year. The initiative involves over 2,000 square kilometers, more than 770 square miles, and wants to promote renewable energy development and attract investment. By 2030, Portugal plans to allocate and install 2 gigawatts through power auctions, with ambitions to scale up to 10 gigawatts over time. a 25-megawatt floating wind project operated by Ocean Winds, already exists near Viana do Castelo. Major companies have expressed interest in the upcoming auctions, including Baywa, Iber Blue Wind, and Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners. Next up, on Wednesday the 15th, India launched a submarine, a destroyer, and a frigate at the same time as part of its efforts to strengthen its navy and counter China's growing influence in the Asia-Pacific region. At a ceremony in Mumbai, Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, emphasized India's emergence as a global maritime power and its commitment to modernizing its defense capabilities. Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, highlighted the Indian Ocean's rising strategic importance amid global rivalry. India has been increasing its naval fleet, aiming to grow from 150 to 170 warships and submarines over the next decade. This expansion is part of a broader push to boost domestic defense production, which saw record investments of $15 billion in 2024, with an increase of 17% compared to the previous year. Speaking of the Indian Ocean, the Republic of the Marshall Islands Maritime Administrator has recently issued a warning about the resurgence of Somalia-based piracy in the Indian Ocean. Since November 2023, pirates have hijacked fishing boats and merchant vessels, often using the hijacked boats as motherships to conduct further attacks. These incidents have occurred as far as 900 nautical miles, almost 1,700 kilometers, off the Somali coast. The Republic of the Marshall Islands advises ships to stay at least 600 nautical miles, around 1,100 kilometers from Somalia, and to review industry best management practices. Authorities recommend that vessels conduct pre-voyage risk assessments, ensure updated security plans, and perform security drills before entering high-risk areas. Let's sail to the Suez Canal. On Wednesday the 15th, the Suez Canal Authority signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Omani Integrated Logistics Services to explore potential cooperation in maritime and logistics sectors. The agreement, witnessed by Osama Rebi, the Suez Canal chairperson, covers areas like ship repair, training, and joint marketing to extract Omani vessels to the canal. It also proposes creating a consultancy center and organizing workshops to share best practices. Rebi emphasized the authorities' efforts to improve services such as fuel provisioning, crew changes, and emergency support. Abdullah bin Nasser al-Rabi, Oman's ambassador to Egypt, praised the Suez Canal's role in global maritime services. Both parties will form a working team to implement the initiatives outlined in the memorandum. From the Suez to the Panama Canal, false information spread online that Panama doubled tariffs for U.S. warships using the Panama Canal and planned to use the money for women's healthcare. The statement included a fake quote from President José Raúl Mulino and gained attention after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump criticized Panama's canal fees in December, suggesting he might retake control of the canal. Mulino denied the allegations in a video, saying Panama fully controls the canal and China has no influence over its operations. He also clarified that the canal's fees follow established rules, not arbitrary decisions. The full story came from a parody account on Twitter. As of January 2025, the Panama Canal Authority's fees for warships remain at $5.50 per ton of water displaced. There have been no changes to these rates. Over to the Black Sea, Risk Intelligence's 2024 Maritime Security Analysis recently reported 16 security incidents involving ships in the Black Sea, up from 12 in 2023. Most incidents occurred in Ukrainian ports, particularly Odessa and Pivdeni, where Russian forces targeted 2 merchant vessels, saying they transported military equipment, though there was no evidence for this. The increase in attacks coincided with the late summer and early autumn months when weather conditions were most favorable for military operations. Despite over 3,000 vessel transits to Ukrainian ports since July 2023, the number of incidents remains relatively low, showing that security risks persist but do not severely disrupt overall maritime operations. Closing with news from the Antarctic Ocean, on Tuesday the 14th, a team of almost 40 international scientists and crew embarked from Wellington, New Zealand on the RV Tangaroa to explore Antarctica's Ross Sea and venture further south than ever before. The expedition aims to investigate the effects of climate change on the Ross Sea and its global impact. Researchers plan to travel over 3,500 kilometers, almost 2,200 miles, south to the Ross Ice Shelf, deploying ocean monitoring robots to gather data on temperature, salinity, heat, and oxygen. They will maintain seafloor instruments that track changes in ocean conditions and examine unique seafloor habitats to understand how marine life responds to shifting environments. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. We've heard from some of you that you'd love to subscribe but don't want to spend money. Well, great news! Subscribing to the Rorschach Ocean Update is absolutely free. That's right, whether you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or YouTube, hitting that subscribe button won't cost you a thing. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us grow and continue bringing you the updates you love. So go ahead and subscribe. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to our team at info@rorschach.com. See you next week.